Live broadcast show brought to you by Magnicraft Consulting Team, anchored by Niyi Dunmade, a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the U.S. Here, each Monday of every week, we address important, relevant, and actionable topics of interest that will help you and your church grow healthier. And now, meet your host, Niyi Dunmade. Hello, welcome to Monday.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just want to confirm that I am live and someone is listening to me loud and clear. Can I just have someone to just give me a thumbs up that the sound is good? Welcome to this morning live broadcast show. This is Monday Morning Matters. Monday Morning Matters live. I want to just welcome you to this live broadcast show. We are planning to get into the last quarter of the year. And the last quarter of the year will be of October, November, and December. And they're very key, very, very important in the life of the life cycle of a church. So I just want to welcome you. If you are hearing me, just give me a response that you are hearing me. All right. So we're glad you are part of this live broadcast show. I am Niyi Dunmade. I'm the founder and the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. My name is Niyi Dunmade, and I'm the founder and the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. Okay. Magnicraft Consulting is a church consulting firm that helps local churches to grow healthier through empirical assessment, trainings, and strategic blueprints. Okay, so Magnicraft Consulting does a lot of diagnosis, and then they give you some strong recommendations on how you can become healthier, and then therefore you're going to grow at the end. Our vision is to be the leading church health consultancy that creates sustainable and adaptable solutions to your context. So I would like you to let you know that I'm a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the US. I'm also a certified church consultant with the Church Consultation University from Church Answers. And I'm your host to the weekly Facebook Live broadcast show on Monday, 7 a.m. Nigerian time. We don't miss it for anything. We don't miss it for anything. Okay? So do I still have some people coming on board? All right, let's move on to the juice. Okay, I'm also known as the Church Health Guardian and Guide of the 21st century. A big thank you to everyone who is commenting, who is sharing our content, reaching out to us on the social media space. I'm the receptionist of all my social media handles. So whatever comment, whatever questions, inquiries, clarification you need, you're going to be sure to get a response from me. And I'm telling you, that will be a timely response for that matter, because I know pastors usually have a lot of questions, but when you discuss with me, you're going to get more than an answer. Okay, so one of the things that we have been discussing so far is what the 12 uneasy signs. 12 uneasy signs to detect. Okay, 12 uneasy signs to detect in a declining church. We also said that you don't wait for that long to know that your church has been declining. When something is going to go wrong, there are indicators, there are metrics that will make you, give you signs that things are actually not going to end up on a good one for you. And so instead of you waiting for the lag measures to give you all the results, why don't you begin to look at some indicators that will help you overcome getting a bad result in a longer term in terms of your church growth efforts. So most of the time, churches usually wait for 10 years to be able to establish a trend. And by the time you have established a trend, there's nothing you can do about that trend. That trend is already a result or an outcome of what we call lag measure. So it's easier to detect declines from lag measures, but you can also begin to find ways at which, when you don't carry out your lead measures well in terms of what you are putting into the process, into the system, okay, the guest volumes, the number of converts, givings, attendance, those are quite easy to be able to track. And then when you are actually having givings are up or attendance are down and things like that. It's wanting to get more visitors and convert into your front door is another thing. To find ways to keep them coming back. Keeping them coming back is where the real work is. Okay, getting them to come into your front door is not so important as you finding out a process or a system whereby the visitors that are coming to your church or the converts that are being saved in your church are coming back to your church. Okay. Also, if you've been to my trainings or you've been listening to Monday Morning Matters, you will know that the front door matters, the back door matters, and the other doors of the church matters. Okay, so it's not appropriate for you to look at one metrics or the front door alone. You have to look at your church in a myriad of data. Okay, and of course, we've done that so well in Monday Morning Matters, where you don't just look at attendance alone to say that your church is healthy or your church is growing. You have to look at a couple or number of data, allowing data to interpret itself in a way that it tells you that yes, you are in the right direction, you are having vision actualization, and you're actually making progress towards church health. So we also looked at 3 signs, and I'm going to just come again fresh with some examples or some concept from my experience as a pastor and a church consultant. So we thought that the rate of a church relevance in the community, okay, when you know that the rate of a church relevance in the community is declining, then there's a likelihood that decline is an inevitable. So once you want to avert the irrelevance of the church in the community in the nearest future, you have to begin to do a community analysis to find ways at which the church can be significant to the people in Jerusalem. So the rate of a church relevance, okay, we know most of the time when churches start, everybody's excited, everybody knows the church. Maybe 2-3 years into of the church existence, you now find out that everybody is just, that's the rate of the consciousness and the relevance or the significance of the church in the neighborhood, in your Jerusalem, is winding down. And so you have to find a way of getting the superculture gospel to permeate into the culture and a cross-generation persons or citizens in your Jerusalem. Okay, that rate of change must be contextual to your community. Okay, what works for a church in community A might not work for a church B in another community. Okay, that's why sometimes it's not nice for churches to begin to copy strategies from other churches, because we are all different. Our contexts are different. Our congregations are different. Our communities are different. And so when you want to waste time copying, it's better for you to get to work and find out how can we begin to improve the relevance of the church in the community. Because if the church is not relevant in the community, there's no how the people in the community can begin to come through your front door, and that's what can begin to ensure that you are seeing decline in your church. So one of the things is, when you see that people are not getting to engage, you are not engaging the leader, the mayor of your county, or you are not engaging your councillor, your chairman. There's no conversations going on. When you wanted to start, you had a kind of healthy conversation. The volumes of conversation was much, and after a while, in 6 months or 10 months, you see they don't want to initiate a communication anymore with the church. So one of the things that allows, once you are not putting your tab on the rate of the church relevance in the community, then the church begins, the church becomes an ex-neighborhood kind of church, okay, where you are in the church, but the community does not even feel your impact anymore, or the community does not want to engage with your services, or your exchanges anymore with them. And so you need to begin to find ways of seeing how you can cut across all the generation, all the people in your community, to make sure that your church is significant and your church is relevant to the community at it should be. Okay. And then we also so that's because the thing is, the people who are in the helm of leadership, the people who are in the helm of leadership of your community are not constant. Okay, sometimes they can do elections, and then when they do elections, they are, because you have had a healthy relationship with the chairman or the councillor or whatever political office that is in the community. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to just have a healthy relationship cutting across new leaders who are coming on board, and the church must find ways to engage new leaders who are taking over, maybe because of political elections and things like that, or appointments by the government of a nation, but to find out the way to get that connection intact, so that as the church exists in terms of social responsibility, in terms of corporate responsibility, or trying to use your community analysis to do outreaches to the community, you can begin to find ways at which you are relevant in the community. And the more the church is relevant to the community, the more the church, the community will be aware of the gospel conversations or the interactions that the church is having with the community. So that's one way, one metrics you need to, the Uneasy church metrics that most churches don't use. How is doing that survey is as people are immigrating and migrating into the community, are people being aware, so that you don't get to the point that your church is becoming an ex-neighborhood church. Okay, most of the time when churches start, the community actually feels the neighborhoodness of the church, okay, because they do a lot of evangelism. They are trying to introduce themselves. They're trying to make sure that the community actually welcomes them into the Jerusalem to do ministry activities and things like that. Now, the other point that I will want to explain, and that has been so predominant in my consulting experience, the median age of the leadership of the church and the median age of the community and the median age of the congregation. You have to constantly compare those signs. Okay, I've seen churches where they start, they are youthful, they are coppers, or they are young young youths in nature, and after like 10 years they got married. 10 years, if you are 35, in 10 years they are 45. Okay, but when they are now 45 or they are 65, and you don't have new young people coming into the church, it's going to affect. It's something that if you don't detect that kind of trend, you begin to find out that your church will be in a decline mode eventually. So, as a church leader, as a pastor who is leading a congregation, you sit down, look at the average age or the median age of the community. Look at the average age of your leadership, okay? And look at the average age of your congregation. Are they in the same age bracket? Okay, you cannot have your leadership to be like 75, and then the average age of your congregation is, let's say, 55, and then you have the average age of the community, let's say 28. Okay, so there's no connection. There's no connection. There's a psychological disconnect in such a way that when you are sharing handbills, you are sharing gospel conversations, you are trying to interact with people, you will not be able to interact because there is no connection with the people. People want to connect with their peers. People want to connect. You see, the Bible says, there's an idiom that says the birds of the same feather flock together. There should be some form of commonality for people to connect and to flock together and to relate together. So when you have a church, of course, the church is planted in a community, and definitely your church is meant to be led by a group of leaders. Just take the ages of your leaders, take the ages of a sample size of your congregation, and then take the age, the age, the kind of the average age of the community, maybe through your census or your demographics. We can do for you, doing some form of community analysis for you to let you know that the defined area that is like a Jerusalem to you, which I would want to advise that should be between 15 minutes to 20 minutes drive time to your church. Find out the average age of those who are residing in your Jerusalem, and then begin to compare. Okay, if you have the difference between 5 plus or minus 5 between them, then that is a sign that you need to begin to address. It is uneasy. Most pastors don't usually get to the book to put all those things on the table, but that's why you are Money Matters, to let you know that this uneasy church sign must be detected. Because the thing is, you can do this as do this exercise in, let's say, in the first 6 months of the year, and there'll be a rate of change from what you are finding in another last 6 months. And you see, the thing is that those days they wait for 10 years for culture to be known or trend to be established. But right now, you don't have to wait for 10 years to begin to establish a trend, or to begin to see things that are, so please need to see metrics or signs that are unhealthy. Okay, in a space of like 3 months or 14 weeks, you can begin to establish some trends. Because one of the things that makes pastors or church leaders to be proactive is for you to be on top of the game, to look at how the trend is going to trend, and then you do something before it trends. And then when you do something before it trends, you get a better result at the end of the day. Okay, and so lastly, we also talk about knowing what has stopped working. Okay, you have a church. The church is running with systems. The church is running with departments. It's running with units. It's running with fellowships. It's running with people, and it's running with structures. And then as the entire system is running and interacting together, you need to find a way. It's uneasy, but you have to do it, to find that church sign to detect which department is not performing at their peak, which department has stopped working, which department, there's sometimes that the efficiency of a department can drop from 80% to, let's say, 42%. And that 42% might be just one reason why your church is not performing, or is declining, or is not creating the needed momentum that the church needs. Okay? Every part of the body is important, because every part is going to supply something to the body that will make the body healthy. And I can tell you, as the church is healthy, then your church is going to grow. So find out ways. You know all the systems, you know all the processes, you have all the checklists. What are the things that we need to fine-tune, to upgrade, to improve, to ensure that we do not get to a point that something has stopped working, and then we are still, the entire church is actually trying to deliver the goals or the vision of the church. You need to know them early enough. Those things, those systems that are reducing in their efficiency, or they have stopped working, you need to know them and be willing to address them. Be willing to also deal with them, to remove them. Okay, when something has stopped working, sometimes one of the things you need to do is to replace them. When you have a vehicle and something has stopped working, is spoiled, don't try to manage. One of the things I always want to tell my church leaders is that when it comes to church, there are some things you should not compromise, because you are dealing with souls. You're not just, in fact, most companies that are profit oriented don't compromise. They don't try to lower the standard because of the profit that is the motivation. But in the church, profit is not our motivation. Our motivation is souls. And so if it is souls, let's don't begin to drop the standard or drop or compromise what we need to do, because the life of a soul is very important. Is way more valuable than money or any valuables that you may, or assets that you might have. And so because of that, you need to begin to look at all your systems. A system can be working when the church is born, when the church is young, and then when the church is a bit old, in like 3 years, 4, 5 years, those evangelistic systems have reduced in efficiency, and you need to sit down and find ways to increase those efficiency, find ways to get those processes to be effective, to improve in their effectiveness, so that when those systems, those departments, those processes are in, those structures are improved, then you are able to begin to sustain your health and sustain your growth. Health is not achieved by just doing something one time. It's something that you do from a habitual perspective. You are doing it consistently, and because you are achieving church health consistently, then you are definitely going to have church growth at the end of the day, or you're going to have church growth consistently. And so it takes you to be very brutal, assessing your church, looking at all the things that are working in your church, and begin to ask yourself, what has stopped working? What has reduced in the efficiency of his process? His process. I'm someone that I'm a checklist driven. And then, in my church, we have a lot of checklists. Checklist for the toilet, checklist for the ushering, checklist for running the service. And you see, you can begin to find yourself being procedural, because once you are procedural, there's a likelihood you're going to begin to maintain standards. And then once there's order, then the Holy Spirit is going to brood over the church. And I can tell you, once you're able to do that, things are working. I'm telling you that there are massive things that will happen. It happened in the early church. It can happen in your church, where those things were put in proper shape, and God began to move in their midst in dimensions that we can see that it's only God that can do those things. So begin to know exactly what has stopped working, what needs to improve in terms of effectiveness, in terms of efficiency, and be willing to address it. Be willing to confront it. Be willing to remove some obstacles that are not working. Sometimes your department, you might have to find people with the needed skills to inject them into the leadership of the system, and that might be what will change the entire operations or performance of your church. So one of the key things take home that we're talking about today, make sure you do community on a regular basis. Don't wait. I want to, as a church consultant, do community analysis every year. If you can do it twice a year, fine. But if you don't have the resources, at least on a minimum, you are doing a community analysis every year. Because it will be very wrong for you as a church to be reactional to things that have already trended, or to things that have already changed in the demographics and the psychographics of the church. And it's a waste of effort and resources to be doing something that you think is working based on a community analysis you have done, when immigration and movements and culture, globalization, immigration, and all those change of the legal environment, the economic concerns, leadership styles. There was a time that people like to be led by a dictatorial leaders, but right now the generation X, Y, and Z don't like those kind of people who just talk at them. They want to just get leaders who will just give them what they need, and they go do what they want to do. So one of the things is, from the community analysis, you can also know the kind of leadership style to lead part time. Don't think that a leadership style will be effective constantly, okay, or maybe a kind of laissez-faire kind of leadership. It can work at a point, but it will not work all the time. And because it's not going to work all the time, you have to find ways to get at the point where it's not working to do something before what is not working will begin to shut down the entire system of the church. Okay, I think I need to wrap up right now. Thank you so much for everyone that is watching us today. If you have any church related question, any inquiry, any concern, please let's have it in all the social media scrolling on the screen. Please let's have your concerns. Talk to us. I'm here to help you. I'm here to see how God will move your church from where it is to where it is. I'm telling you, you're going to share or get more than an answer from me. You have any question, you want to even give me a comment, please go to the comment section and drop a comment you've learned from me. I will also love to learn from you. So please do me a favor to take advantage of the comment section. If this video has been helpful to you, give us a like. Let the artificial intelligence work in our favor with your effort. Do share us to your community, share us to your church leaders or pastor, share us to your friends and colleagues, and drop me a comment. And I would love to hear from you, okay? In the comment section, I'm sure going to respond. We also do consultations, we do revitalizations, we do trainings. Actually, I'm in Calabar right now. I did a training for like 5 days to some church leaders in the church. It's been wonderful. It's been awesome. So I want to just trust us, get us engaged in consultations, get us engaged in revitalization efforts, and then also in trainings and strategic blueprints. Trainings and strategic blueprints. Please feel free, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then I'm sure you are going to get some good content. Okay, we're here to help your church. We are here to make sure your church is better in doing what God has called them to be. And so we want to sign up from here till I come your way next week, Monday, with a continuation of 12 uneasy signs to detect in a declining church. Okay, I say bye-bye. I love you. God bless you. I see you again.